what you focus on. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Lady K Chat podcast. You are here with your favorite lady, your favorite host, Miss Lady K. You know I am the one that I tell you the truth of love. I do not hold my tongue back, but you know I have to give it to you because I mean well. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so excited. Oh my God, guys, in the whole month of December, we are doing a series called Sex in December. So for all you loveless couples, you haven't had sex in months or you think it's normal, no, it's not. We're going to unpack this today. Oh, and I have this beautiful guest. Oh my gosh. It's been a while since she's been on my platform. I want everyone to give a warm welcome to Dr. Laura Lewis with Atlanta Couples Therapy. Welcome, Laura.
Thank you for having me. I am excited to be here. Thanks for inviting me back. I really appreciate it. And I'm excited about this conversation.
I am too, Laura. Oh my God, I know we said a mouthful off air. So, you know, I want to unpack it on you, but I have to tell you guys, listen, like I said, sex in December, right? Because this is the holidays, right? So usually like when certain occasion comes about, this is when people say, oh yeah, let's do something. And I'm here to tell you out here today. Laura, ain't that a no-no?
No.
Ain't that a no-no, Laura? Occasional sex. Let me ask you a question, Laura. On a scale from 1 to 10, how important is sex in a relationship?
Sex is important. Sex is important. It's crazy because like when couples first get together, it's just like on and popping. And then sometimes like you get a little comfortable and then we forget about the importance of connecting with one another on a physical level. It's important.
Absolutely. And I know we were talking about this. We were talking about how, you know, women are emotional creatures, right?
Yes.
And, you know, women are from Venus and men are from Mars. But so I wanted to come here and just, you know, elaborate a little bit to the fellas, you know, what your woman may need to get to that comfortable space to be involved with you. And I know intimacy is so important, but going back before you can get to the intimacy, the love language is important. So Laura, let's talk about some of the love languages.
Absolutely. So I love the love language. I did a retreat with Gary Chapman, the author of the book, The 5 Love Languages. And I preach and teach it in my online membership after I do academy. So I love it. I love it. It's just like, yes. So what are the love languages? Basically, love languages is built on this idea that we all experience love in different ways. And a lot of times it's tied to how we grew up. Maybe it's things that came natural to us in terms of how we receive love, or it's things that were not a part of how we receive love. Like some of the couples that I work with in the After I Do Academy, they tell me like, I never saw my parents affectionate with each other. And so then now when their partner is like, boo, can you hug me? Can you give me a massage? Give me a little caress? They're like, well, it doesn't come natural to me. It's something that I have to consciously think about. And so we talk about what that looks like. It's also words of affirmation, acts of service, gifts, and quality time. So these are all ways that couples, each person in the couple may experience love the most.
Absolutely. And you know, Laura, I have a story behind that. I'm happy you said that, you know, maybe they didn't see their parents be affectionate. So I dated someone and he was a wonderful man, but he grew up in an environment where his parents were married for like, I think almost 40 years, which I think is beautiful. He was surrounded around about men and women in his family that was married for like 20, 30, 40 years. So he got to see what marriage is about and being together and being committed. The only thing that was lacking was the affection part, you know, expressing, because he told me out of his own mouth, he said, my mom and dad barely say, I love you. And he said he had a conversation with his mother one time, and his mother said, you know what? I don't need your dad to tell me that he loves me. I know that he loves me. And I said to him, I think that's beautiful. I said, but now you're in a relationship with me. And with your
somebody.
Exactly. Someone different. So yes, your mother was right when she tell you, you know, you make sure you show a person. That part is right. I said, but for me, can you at least express it? And he had a really hard time understanding that concept. And I said, one thing about me, I am not going to beg nobody, you know, how to treat me. Like I told you how I want to be treated. And if that's too much for you, I'm just going to remove myself because I don't want to put the pressure. I want it to come naturally. And I think, Laura, what happens in a lot of relationships, we meet people, right? Like in my
Mhm.
situation, they're good people. In the areas that we want the most, they lack, right? But then
Mhm.
we bear with it. Then years go on, right? And then you're not getting fulfilled of what you need, and then here comes the resentment.
That's real. That's real. Like sometimes when you have a need and that need is not being fulfilled in your current relationship, it can start to feel resentful. Like, dang, like how many times you want me to tell you that I need this? It's important to
Exactly.
me.
And
And
I'm sorry,
go,
go ahead.
go ahead.
I was gonna say, so where does the line stop where when you feel like you're in that space and you're not getting what you need? Like, how do you have those uncomfortable conversations with your partner?
That's such a real question, and I see that come up so often as a psychologist and couples therapist. I see that a lot where a person may feel like, all right, I done been told you now, like, okay, what's happening? And so for me, I would say I never get tired of telling someone how to treat me. I never get tired of that. And sometimes a person can know what you need, but they may not know how to fulfill it. And so sometimes it's giving them ideas, it's telling them like what feels good to you. Like say for example with physical touch, it's saying like, babe, oh, it feels good to me when you rub my shoulders. It feels good to me when you caress my back, when you massage my feet. Like, oh, that feels so good to me. And so it's just explaining like what it's dialects within the love language. And so
Right.
explaining some of the dialect in tangible terms. Like for example, like one couple told me one time, one person in the partnership told me one time, like, I just want him to show me love. Well, if you ask 10 people how they experience love, you'll get 10 different answers, even like within the love languages. So say words of affirmation for someone whose love language is words of affirmation, they may say, well, I just want you to affirm me, but how? How do you want to be affirmed? For some people, that's verbal, like in the conversation. For other people, maybe a love letter or maybe a little text that says like, oh, baby, you looking good today. Other people, they may feel like, well, no, affirm me in like my personality. And so I think it's important that in relationships, we share in a positive way without beating people up, like what you want.
Right. But you said something key without beating people up. And I think a lot of people, maybe by default, there's naturally they're so used to being abrasive. And just recently, I even shared this on my social media. I said, there's a difference between being assertive and abrasive. And most people don't realize they're being abrasive. So it's like that's another part. Like, how can I even tell you that you're being a little bit too harsh for me?
Yeah.
And I need you to tone it down. Because I know from my personal experience, I had to say that. And I got tired. I was like, you know what? This sounds like I'm just sitting here talking to myself. And I know there's so many people out there that can relate. It's like I keep telling you, when you want to get it, bro. But I also think, too, it has a lot to do in the beginning of the relationship, how you set the tone. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. The tone, how the tone is set early on is so crucial. And for some of us, we never learn how to communicate in a loving, in an affirming way. Like if we always saw our parents be abrasive to one another, it could just come natural and it could feel like I'm not being abrasive, I'm just telling you what I think and how I feel. But it's coming across to the other person as abrasive. And so I would say there's a sentence that I tell my couples to use, and it's when X happens, I feel Y, I would like Z. And so it's not the blame game of you did this, and when you did this last week, I ain't like it, but it's just step focusing in on what you want instead of what you don't want.
Right, right. So, here's another thing too, Laura. Right, I hear a lot of people say that they might want to go to therapy, right?
Yeah.
But then the other person is against it. How do you warm that spouse up to get to come with you to therapy so y'all can discuss the issues that you're having in the lack of the love life?
That is such a great question, Kalima, because I feel like that comes up a lot where one person, most often in this case, I see it's the woman telling me, like, I want to go to therapy. I don't know how to get my husband to go to therapy. I don't know how to get
Right.
my boo thing to go to therapy. And what I say is focus on the transformation that you want to see for the relationship instead of like the change that you want him to make. Because like for some of my couples, they may feel like I'm just bringing him to therapy so you can fix him, and I'm just gonna have a front row seat to you fixing him. I'm good. I'm
Right.
perfect. Just fix him, and we'll be okay. And men don't like that. Men feel like, oh no, I ain't signing up for that. And so instead, I would say I want to focus on how we can have a better intimate life. I want to focus on how I can learn to love you better because it's probably some stuff that I'm missing. And so really just like focusing in on the we instead of like he has a problem. I'm taking you to therapy so the therapist can fix you. You know, that makes a difference.
Right. And you know what? You said something profound. I think that's what a lot of men associate therapy with. You going there to fix me, or that person is going to try to fix me. But what they don't realize is it's not your job as a therapist to fix them. It's really their job to come to the table, express their concerns, and then you're asking them, well, how do you want to fix it? And then you're also giving them the ability to express how they feel. Am I
Yeah.
correct?
You are correct. You are exactly on point. Yes.
So I think also too, I think again, I think it's the way how it comes off, therapy comes off to a man, because in his mind, like I said, automatically that's the feel. So, if you're a man right now and you are listening, I want you to get it across. It is not to drill in you. And yes, there are some women that's missing the cue too. So it's like you get the ability to learn something about him, because I just hear so many women. Like I have a friend and she's like, well, my husband this and my husband this. And I said, focus on you. I said, what needs to be changed about you? I said, because I know how you are. You can throw darts. You just do that. And sometimes you need to bring it down. You need to take that masculine energy out of you. That ain't that. That's not cool. And she be sitting there looking at me like, and I'm like, yes, because I feel like as a friend, it's my job to tell you that. Because if not, then you're going to walk around saying it's him, him, him. And I actually like her husband. He's not a bad guy. It's just that he's the average guy. He's stuck on certain things. And it's like, that's not the best way to approach him. And I told him, like, get him to therapy. And what we just said here, he don't want to go. So I'm like, she has to find her way and her niche, how to soften him up, so maybe he can go and take that route with her.
I love that. I think it's important to have people in your life that hold you accountable and people that say, no, boo, like it's some stuff that you got to work on. And I think
Right.
that's such a good friend. The fact that you were able to say to her, like, you bringing masculine energy and masculine energy, like that, like y'all gonna bump heads. Like we gotta
Right.
counterbalance this masculine energy with some feminine energy. And so I'm so glad that you don't call her to the carpet and say, okay, let's look at this, friend.
Right, exactly. And then also to what I realized, some, not all women, um, excuse me, I got this nasty cough. We already know this is winter time and everybody got germs, so excuse me, guys. So if
You
y'all hear
good,
me
boo.
happen, it's okay. But I do want to say this too, Laura, right? So many women, right? They might be carrying that energy, but like we said earlier, it would be great if the guy can, have the intimacy all throughout the day. Like you said, maybe her love language might be gifts. So maybe he might find put a little gift in the area that she may not look, and he'd be like, "Well, did you look on the dresser?" She'd be like, "Well, what's on the dresser?" Hint, hint, fellas. Hint, hint, clue, clue, fellas. What's on the dresser? And then she turns around and you see her face is just, it brights up. And I know that's what most men want. They want to see that smile on her face, because what you don't realize, fellas, that's opening the door for intimacy. You're helping her. Or here's a lot of women, especially for me, mompreneurs, right? You come home, your house is like a hot mess. It would be nice
Talk about it.
if the guy can come home and maybe cook dinner, maybe clean, and then have the children. I'm giving you some advice, fellas. I hope y'all listening.
They know
Right, Laura?
this
Right.
is
So
good.
I just want to drop some of these hints. Like maybe this can help open some doors for you. What else, Laura, do you think a guy can bring in just to help the intimacy?
I think like sometimes, like you talked about mompreneurs, like sometimes a woman's body goes through changes, whether it's that time of month or she just had a baby and she's not maybe not feeling as sexy as she may normally feel. I know for me, like I gained some COVID pounds and I was like, oh, my belly's sitting in my lap. What happened? And so just to know that you're still desirable from your spouse or your mate, like hearing your spouse say, like, oh, babe, you looking good in them jeans. Like, oh, I see you got your lashes done. You looking good. Or I like just letting your partner know that you see them, that you find them attractive. Like that has wholesome weight when you know that your partner is like attracted to you.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. So I know now, we dropped some hints to the fellas, on how they can make it a little bit easier. I have to talk to the ladies. Laura, this is the number one conversation that I have with men, and they all say the same thing. My wife or my girlfriend don't initiate.
I see that a
Ooh,
lot too.
yes.
Yes,
So it's like we got to
yes.
speak to the ladies in that area about initiation. But before we do, I think it has a lot to do with the mindset where women think, well, the man should come to me first.
Yeah.
I can't lie. I think that mindset is there. And so they think, the guy's supposed to initiate every time. Because when I had a conversation with one of my friends, he told me, he was like, I don't even know if she still like me. Am I
Mhm.
desirable? She don't even touch me. I always got to go to her. So I think, there's of course, number one, there's the lack in the communication because we don't understand how it makes the man feel
Yeah.
when we don't initiate.
Yeah, I definitely see this a lot in my program, the After I Do Academy, where the men are saying, like, she just lay there. Like, I don't want to be Mr. Where she just lay there and let me do my bit. Like, I want to know that she want me just as much as I want her. And I think sometimes as women, sometimes we get those things mixed up and think, oh, the responsibility for our sex life is on the man when no, we both in this thing. We are both in this thing, creating this mutually beneficial, pleasurable experience. We both have to bring something to the table. So to put all the weight of initiating sex on the man is not fair. It's not fair to him. Like he want to know you want him too.
Absolutely. Especially he's already in the mindset, well, you know what? I provide because that's what most men that's my their thought. I provide, I am a provider. So
Yeah.
not only am I a provider, I'm initiating at my job, he might be the boss at his job or he might be in a higher executive level. And then I gotta come home and initiate with you too. Do you understand that, ladies? I want you to understand that concept. That's like you feel like you're always servicing other people. He feels like, well, where is the medium in this? So there has to be a balance, just like you say, Dr. Laura. So what steps, Laura, do you think a woman can take just to feel more comfortable in her skin?
There are subtle things that a woman can do to tap into like what gives her pleasure. And a lot of the research shows that when a woman knows what gives her pleasure, she is more likely to experience it. She's more likely to experience an orgasm. So I would say be mindful of okay, what do I like? What turns me on? What gets me in the mood? And take responsibility for that. Like say, like, okay, I like it when you touch me behind my neck. That is like my spot, baby. Have those conversations. Talk about your fantasies. Think about, okay, what can I do to love him better? Have those types of conversations. Read a book. There are so many books. Like there's one book on the gift of sex, and it's a beautiful book written by sex therapists. And so I think that we should never get to a point where we're just like, oh, well, I just know. I know what to do. I know what turns him on. No, stay on the journey of discovery and know that what works at day one and what works at year 5 may look different for
Mm,
yourself and also for him. Be always on in a space of discovery.
absolutely. I think some women they haven't tapped into that space in that area of themselves. So I think that's why the redundancy is there. Like you just say, I'm just gonna let him be on top and do his business. Like what? This is not the color purple.
Nobody wants that. Nobody wants to feel like, okay, it's Tuesday. Let me check the box that I gave you. No, like bring your whole self to it. Like you're verbal. Like, oh, it feels good when you touch me like this. Like bring all of that to your intimate relationship. Because men like to know that they're pleasing you. And so whatever ways you like to communicate that, whether it's a touch, whether it's verbal, like make sure that he knows when it feels good to you so that he can continue doing that. And the same vice versa as a woman, make sure that you are conscious of what feels good to you and switch it up. Try a new position, try a new location. Like variety is the spice of life. We don't want our sex lives to get monotonous where it's the same way every time. Missionary. Right. No.
Right. And I have to bring this up too because you it was a thought that just provoked. If you're doing the same thing over and over, do you think sometimes too that is maybe be the cause why some people might step out because the redundancy? I'm not saying that it's right, but I'm just saying, do you think that's one avenue on why, especially men, why they step out?
Yeah, because this is the thing. Like when people step out, it feels new, it feels exciting, it feels like, and it's like kind of this fantasy bubble where like everything is exciting in that new relationship. And so you have to look at, well, what can I do? And I'm not saying that it's right. It's not right for anybody to step out of their relationship, right? Absolutely. Like that's never right. But that is one of the reasons is problems with sex and intimacy, where a man is not feeling that, like that connection anymore. Sometimes we take it for granted where we say, oh, well, we have good communication, or we are great partners, or we work together well. But most men want that other part too, not just like we like roommates, but no, like can we keep that spice alive? That part.
Right. And I'm gonna laugh because I saw this girl on social media and she put her caption in, oh, he likes different girls. So when when I was playing a reel, you saw her in different outfits, in different hairstyles, in different personalities, and I liked it. And I said, and that's what we have to do. We have to constantly switch it up because I think sometimes when we are in the home, of course, it's comfortable. So ladies, they're wearing their bonnets all day. They're wearing their sweatpants, the long shirt. I'm not trying to say you can't feel comfortable in your home, but I think it is great to switch it up. So, put on some leggings. You know how many men love leggings? Put on something that's going to show your upper torso, something show a little skin, and I think sometimes that might be missing. Because like we're so used to certain patterns and we feel comfortable, but I understand sometimes we have to be uncomfortable a little bit.
Absolutely. I work from home and I know I could put on my pajamas and get real comfortable. Right. But a man don't want to see that all the time. He want to see, you looking nice, like, get your hair done, fill in your eyebrows, put a little lipstick on, get your nails done, like whatever those things are that bring in that feminine kind of thing. Do those things, because guess what? When he go outside that house, and then women got on the high heels and the tight clothes, he gonna look, because men are visual beings. They are attracted to the visual. And so get your man something nice to look at. I'm not saying that every day you got to have on all the lingerie and the heels, but maybe once a week or a couple times a week, you say, I'm going to keep it a little spicy tonight and give him some fresh to look at. I love that idea of saying, okay, my man like a new girl, he gonna get a new girl every day with on a wig, throw some heels, throw some lingerie. I like that. I gotta find that meme. Tag me in
it. Right, exactly. Now I know somewhere out there, somebody's probably watching this and they're probably saying, well, Dr. Laura and Kalima, I just don't have the time. Like I'm busy, he's busy. Let's talk about that. How can they actually come to a standpoint and make time for one another?
I hear this all the time. If I had $1 for every time I heard someone tell me that, I'm like, I just don't have enough time. Well, think about it. you can either put the time in or you could be on the prowl again looking for a new boo, because you could it's like one or the other. Relationships require investment. Either you're gonna invest in this relationship or you're gonna invest in a divorce. You pick the side that you want to be on. Real talk, real talk. So one of the things that I recommend for my couples inside of the After I Do Academy is something called the 5 magical hours. And so this is where you don't have to have a whole bunch of time, but in 5 hours over the course of the week, you can invest in your relationship. So let me give you the breakdown.
Lady K.